Good morning, councillors. Good morning, staff. Welcome to our first meeting for 2025, and it does seem quite a while since we had our last meeting, certainly since it was the 20th of November. So, excited to probably see everybody back for this meeting. Now, we are going to ask Joe, I'm going to ask Councillor Davies, sorry, blank moment there, to open the meeting with the Karakia.
Unahia ki te urutapa nui o tāne, kia wātea ki māmā, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua i te ara tākata, koia rā e rongo, whakaira ake ki runga, kia tīna, humie, huie, tāi ki e.
Kia ora, Councillor Davies, thank you very much. As I say, welcome everybody to the meeting. We have been informed there is a quorum present, and we'll just move to apologies. We did have Councillor or Chair Pauling online. He's just dropped off at the moment. Hopefully he's coming back.
He's back again.
He's back again. Thank you. Good morning, Chair. I haven't had any apologies, as I say, other than to note that Chair Pauling is online today. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest with today's agenda? That's agenda item 3. If there isn't, we will move on to agenda item 4. That's public forums, deputations and petitions. And we haven't had any, I haven't been informed of anything there. That's correct? Yes. Agenda item 5 is extraordinary and urgent business. Is there any extraordinary and urgent business? If there isn't, we will then move on to notices of motion. I've received none, so thank you. That's item 6. That takes us to the agenda item 7.1, the minutes of the previous meeting, and they're on pages 8 to 13 of your agenda. Are there any matters of accuracy relating to these minutes? They were circulated. Those are the ones for the 20th of November. If there isn't, we've got the recommendation there up on the board. Is there a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor East. A seconder, Councillor Edge. Thank you very much for that. So we've mover and seconder. You've got those? Yes. Yep. All those in favour say aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Which then takes us on to our report items for the decision today. They are on page 14 to 16 of your agenda. 14 to 16 of your agenda, with the recommendations there certainly at the front of that. We have staff sitting at the table. We'll have Aurora, who's our consents planning manager. And you will speak to this report, but I just would like to make it clear to councillors that the decision today is really around appointing, the recommendation from staff is to appoint Jane McDonald as the hearing commissioner to make the notification decisions, and where there isn't a notification, limited or public notification decision made, to go out and do that, then she will decide those decisions. So it's effectively, it could be part of a 2-stage process. So I'll hand over to you, Aurora, if you would like to just point out anything that you think we need to have for clarity.
Great. Good morning, everyone. So with this one, it is to cover 4 farms, and we've done that for continuity and consistency in the process. It's a little bit unusual compared to what you normally see, but the actual content and decision making is standard. So the four farms that this decision relates to is 2 which are consent renewals in the Otuwharekai Kai catchment, and 2, where we have opted to review the conditions. And this is an approach that you will see more as we get into catchment renewals across the region. But for efficiency, we've put all of them in one paper, but the Commissioner will be asked to make decisions separately on all 4 of those. So they will be treated separately when they go to decision for her, if you choose to put her on. Now, it is important to note that Environment Canterbury has been quite involved in the Otuwharekai catchment in the past, and my recommendation is that we use an independent commissioner for all decision making around these applications. So that's why you're also seeing the notification recommendation in front of you. Just like to point out, it's not predetermined on which way this will go, but should a hearing be required, then I would recommend that we come back and add additional people on for a panel for that substantive decision making. So the Section 95 notification decision is quite narrow in terms of the factors that need considered. Are the effects minor or more than minor? And what should the notification pathway be? That is the first question for these. And we've put forward Jane McDonald because she is a very experienced practitioner in the RMA space. The questions for these applications do canvass quite a lot of legal elements, and she's a well-rounded generalist in the space for the notification decision. So there's a bit of context there. And end of questions.
Okay, so is everybody clear around the recommendations? I think that's quite important, and I think Aurora has outlined the reasons why they're set out like they are. Councillor Edge?
Thanks for the explanation of just clarifying how that those 4 applications will be handled effectively separately. My query is about the notification process. And I was looking at the RMA 2022 version, but I think it's been changed and amended a bit before then. The previous notification process was that I think it was Section 94(5), where the consent authority could consider special circumstances in relation to any application, and it may require the application to be notified in accordance with Section 93. What is the current situation about that? I suppose what I'm concerned about is that if we have the information, and I went online to try to check out the application, I got so far, but it didn't allow me to link to the application, but it kept linking me to this document by MFE, which is the Lessons Learned report, which was pretty scathing of the processes involved in protecting that Otuwharekai.
Edge, can I just keep you? Our topic is around making this decision. I think if I can ask staff or perhaps legal, Robin, you might be able to help here as well. Answer the question around the process for notification, because that is set out in the RMA very clearly, and that is what staff have followed.
That's what my question is.
Right, thank you.
I'm just so in respect to the special circumstances and public interest, what is the current situation with that? Is it something that we could have considered?
I can answer that one.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It is part of the consent process. Just to reiterate, the decision for the committee is the commissioner appointed to make the decision. But to cover off your question, special circumstances is one of the factors that gets considered in the notification process. So that is standard for every single application. We have to consider that. Are they involved? for this application, I'm not going to comment whether they are or not, because that's not what's in front of the committee today.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Councillor Pauling today, Councillor Swiggs.
Thanks. Just a question on, we're delegating this down to one commissioner to make this notification decision. When you do that in the organisation, do you normally work with a team of people to canvass these decisions, or is it usually one person? I'm just worried, why I'm asking that is that, does one person or one commissioner have the ability to canvass potentially thinking about their decision, or are we constraining ourselves in that respect from doing it this way?
Can I just clarify your question? Do you
doing
mean
it staff.
when we're putting a recommendation forward, do we use a team of people to...
No. So I mean, when you make a notification decision, like the decision that we're making today is to effectively see if this application will go to notification. When as staff in the organisation, when you get these applications, do you canvass this with a group of people like a panel, or do you just do it individually? Because the question that I really want to know is, we're delegating this to one single commissioner versus a group of people or a couple of, a panel, effectively. So I'm just wondering, we got that breadth of... I just don't know, so I just want...
Yeah, sorry, I understand now. So yes, it's normal process for one person to sort of hold the delegation to make a notification decision, but as part of their decision making, we would expect, and it would be best practice, that if they have questions about that, then they go and use whoever they need across panel of experts that they have available to them, be it internal, if it's an internal application. If it's an independent, which this one will be, they would issue minutes with their questions and direct council to find the appropriate people for them to ask questions to.
Want to note that part of the requirement is a notification report, which does inform the decision maker as well. And then there is a report back justifying the reasons or not. That's correct, isn't it? Yep. Thank you. Councillor Chair Pauling.
Yeah, kia ora koutou. Just give me a second.
A
I'll
bit
just got to
louder.
pull over. So I'm not doing this while driving. Is that all right? Can you just give me a second?
Yeah, we're just increasing your volume at this end. All good, Craig?
I can probably. Okay, I'm good. Hey, thank you for that. Can you hear me right?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah, and good question, Dion. I think that was really good. That point about the notification report, is that by our staff? That's my first question.
In this case, we've, again, just coming back to the involvement that Environment Canterbury's had in the catchment for a really long time. It is being processed by a supplier that is contracted to Environment Canterbury. So she's independent but working to produce that report.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, look, I've got no problem with the process. I understand it, so that's good, and no problem with appointing a commissioner to do the notification decision. It's probably the second part of the decision that I'm really interested in. And look, I get that it's for consent, and if it's not notified, then that will be the normal process. But I think in this case, this is a really significant catchment. We know the partnership approach that's been applied to this whole process, and they are not insignificant farms in themselves. Each one of those farms is quite a large ex-high country stations. So my question is really, A, have you considered having another commissioner with the relevant expertise in mana whenua, cultural Māori matters, because of the significance that we know about this site? And if so, why haven't we recommended that we have someone alongside the proposed commissioner to deal with that, even in the notification decision, but more specifically in the actual decision, regardless of whether it's notified or not.
Okay.
Cool. So some background context here, Chair Pauling, is that we have very clear mana whenua views have been put to us throughout the processing of these applications, and our consultant planner has been working with AEC on conditions. So we have got the view, the cultural view for the notification decision very clearly stated in the notification recommendation. I've seen the draft. And again, there is a wide range of issues that a commission needs to canvass, which is why staff have put to you a generalist practitioner. She does have cultural experience in terms of canvassing that with previous decisions she's done, but I do take your point that she's not a specialist cultural commissioner. It would be a deviation from our normal process to put on a panel for a notification decision. And on the balance, my recommendation is that to follow usual process here with one commissioner for the notification decision.
Thank you. In terms, and I'm okay with that for the notification decision, but it's more around resolution 2 and the sub-resolutions to that, because if we make that decision today, and if it's not notified, there would only be one commissioner for the reviews, which again, it might be a deviation from normal practice, but actually I think in this case it's warranted. So that's the decision that I'm concerned about. Not so much resolution 1, but resolution 2, which binds us into if it's not notified, there's only one commissioner. And like I said, I think these farms are significant, and this issue is significant. And one commissioner on a landscape that big, I think that's an issue. So it's a scale issue, not so much there's only 4 consents. It's more the scale of the consents and the significance of the issues.
I think, if I may just point out that the decision that will be made around notification does depend on minor, less than minor, or more than minor. So I think we've got to trust our decision maker here to make that decision, given all the information and as you've rightly pointed out, significance or otherwise, to the decision maker, Chair Pauling.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. And like I said, I'm okay with resolution 1. But what I'm not happy with at this stage, until we know that decision, is to bind ourselves into resolution 2. Because I'd rather wait for that to know whether we've got a panel or not, or to know whether it's notified or not. Because I'm mindful that, we lock ourselves in if we pass resolution 2 today. That's all I'm saying. So I'm happy with resolution 1. I'm happy to trust the notification decision process. It's that we're binding ourselves into the outcome of that, which I can see is proactive. But in this case, I think that that's tricky because I'd like that considered in terms of how significant and the scale of this is for the actual consent decision.
Okay, so I'd like to ask staff about the implications if we break that up and bring it back for a decision later on, because there will be time limits that we will have to meet. Is that correct?
Yes. So if the decision, I think it's no problem to break that up and essentially remove that so that it's just for the notification decision. But yes, if the notification decision is non-notified, then we would need probably an extraordinary committee meeting to meet our timeframes on that.
Craig, did you hear that? Councillor Chair Pauling?
Yes, I did. And therefore, that's something that I would, when we get to that I would ask for the committee to consider.
Yeah, Yeah, I'd be quite happy to have a split vote on it. Is there any other concerns or anything that people want to raise at the table around that? Councillor Reg?
No, I agree with Chair Pauling to break it up and possibly remove section 2 in its entirety.
Okay, well, I think Councillor Davies?
Just to understand, in the event of that and 2 not carrying, what would that look like?
It looks like we might have to meet our timelines so that it doesn't cost us anything as an organisation for delaying our statutory timeframes, that we might have to come back for an extraordinary meeting. Pardon? That's what staff have just actually said to us. So there are timeframes around making these decisions and getting us to specific points in the process. So I suggest that we deal with these recommendations in 2 parts, and we will vote on them in 2 parts. Is your hand still up, Chair Pauling?
Yeah, just so a further question on the timeframes and stuff. So I assume that may mean that we maybe have an RHC meeting like either next week or the week after. That's the only impost on us, which I don't think is a massive deal. But that's all it would mean, right? It's just one more meeting, either next week or the week after.
I'll ask staff for the timing if they can clarify that for us.
Yes, in essence that's correct. We do have a number of items on the agenda next week as well, so I'm happy to provide an update on those applications then, if needed.
Okay.
So just a clarification, so it wouldn't actually need to be an extra meeting. We can slot it into a currently scheduled meeting, potentially.
It may need to be, depending on the timing and the outcome of the decision for notification. So the Commissioner gets a certain amount of time to make their consideration, and given that there's 4, and all subject to different timeframes because they're received at different times, then the timelines are a little bit complex from our end to work out, but so can't guarantee that we can fit it in a previous, like an already scheduled RHC, but if we can, we will. If we can't, we will ask for an extraordinary meeting.
Okay, Councillor Edge?
Just a queries. Could we maintain item 2.2 and remove 2.1, 2.3 and 2.4?
Therein lies a problem, because we are appointing the Commissioner to review around the notifications. It does extend the timeline if the decision of a non-notified decision can't be made by that person who's already done the reviews. So we have got a bit of a problem here if we separate these out as they currently are, and we will have to probably take out the bottom and leave 2.1 in as I see it. That's correct, is that, staff? And similarly 2.3. It's going to make it quite messy.
Okay, then, I mean, do what Councillor Pauling's suggesting, taking out all of item 2. And in terms of the timeline issue, given that this is an incredibly special circumstance in terms of the number and extent of the consenting process and the high level of public interest, I think it is a good idea that we at this stage come back, and I don't think the time process is overly arduous.
We don't exactly know what that is. I see some staff having a conversation here. Do you have some more advice for us?
The decision to split the resolution will come with certain risks because the timeframes are quite tight, and staff have a forward work program that's already prepared, and it will require another paper, and it could well be that we are calling a meeting at a time. I'm not sure of the availability of everyone as well, so it's just something to factor in. Is it worthwhile putting the motion as it is?
Yeah.
Is the indication that as it is, it's likely to fail, or do we?
Pardon? Well, to me, there seems to be a sense that there's one or two people that want to have it separated. I'm quite happy to separate it, but not to have the vote on it, unless there's any recommendation that comes from the floor. But to take them out when we've got a hearing commissioner that's going to look to see whether it's notified, look at all information that's provided, and then not to be able to make that decision on a non-notified consent seems a bit wasteful of resources in from my perspective. Councillor East?
Happy to move the resolution as it stands.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that?
I'm foreshadowing an amendment.
Can we have them split though, please?
Yes, I'm quite happy
Sorry,
to move them separately.
So we're just
Have a seconder for that?
moving one at this stage?
We've got them both moved, but I would like to take a separate vote on them. If Councillor East is happy with that, are you happy with that? Okay. Do I have a seconder for that? If there's no seconder from the team, I will second this. And I'm going to vote on them separately. We can do that?
So I'm just a bit lost.
Yes, he's happy to actually often both of them.
So 1, 2 and 3 have been moved and seconded. Is that correct?
And you're happy to do 3 too, aren't you, Councillor East? But can we vote on them separately? You happy with that as well? Yeah. So basically we've moved them all, and we're going to, so he's basically...
Go back up to number 1.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to vote on recommendation 1, which is up here on the board, that we delegate, that we appoint Jane McDonald as the hearing commissioner with the responsibilities on section 34A, and I'm not going to read it all. I think we're probably pretty clear on where we are. So we've got a mover and a seconder, which is Councillor East and myself. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against?
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining? Thank you. So we've got against, and there's none there. Thank you. Right, we'll move to 2.
Do you want to carry that one?
Oh, yeah, carried. Yes. Now we'll move to decision point 2.
Are we having discussion on that?
On 1?
Yep.
We've just voted on it and carried it.
Okay, so.
Decision point recommendation 2 and its sub-clauses. Okay, do we know what we're all voting on here? Any questions around that?
Yep, can we have a discussion?
Well, we've got a mover and a seconder because the 2 of us have agreed to move all these. Right, so we'll have some discussion
I'd like
then.
to speak to it.
Chair Pauling?
Yeah, look, my preference is to lay this decision over, so I'll be voting against it. As I said earlier on, I think there's some significance here that needs to be considered, especially if the consent is not notified. Look, that might not happen. It might be notified, and we can come back to make the decision on the panel as is laid out in 2.2 and 2.4. But I think it's safer at this stage to not pass this resolution and come back to another meeting, which I don't think is going to be onerous because we've got a meeting scheduled, what we heard, next week. There'll be one scheduled for another couple of weeks, depending on how long that decision takes. We'll be able to slot in another Wednesday morning meeting. This slot is always available for us to do that, so I don't think that's an onerous thing for us to do. And the paper doesn't need to be too much different than what's here, but there may need to be a consideration of other commissioners to support this decision. So I'll be voting against it.
Thank you. Councillor Edge?
I would support that and propose an amendment to that effect.
We're voting on it, I think. What's the process here?
Sorry,
What's the process here? We've got Councillor Edge wanting to put in an amendment.
we can put the amendment through. Yep, we can.
May I speak, Chair?
Yes. I'm just getting advice here.
Yes.
We can put the amendment through.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll see what the amendment is.
Okay. You propose an amendment, Councillor Edge? Well, we've got to see what the amendment is first.
Do you want to adjourn during this process?
May I speak? I mean, Grant, you've got every right to put an amendment, but to be honest, I think it's easier if
Just
you let the
vote it.
decision go.
Yeah.
If it fails, we move. If it doesn't fail, so be it. Because it depends what your amendment is. But
Thank you, Chair Pauline, because that's the
I'd actually
indication
prefer to lay it over.
I've given that if we'll go through the vote, because there has been some discussion around the splitting of these, so I think it's quite clear direction that it'll come back.
I propose an amendment. It's been seconded. My amendment is
Is it?
that we defer this particular item to 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4.
So we've got an amendment to defer this item, the full item under 2. Who's the seconder for that? Okay, so this amendment, is it lapsing for a lack of a seconder? It looks
I'll
like.
second it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got an amendment moved by Councillor Edge and seconded by Chair Pauling. All those in favour of the amendment?
Aye.
Right.
No, no, and no. So the amendment is lost. Thank you.
Sorry, I've only just walked in.
Just apologies came in this afternoon.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have you been part of the discussion? Have you been listening to it online?
I have not, no. So,
Okay, thank you. Okay. So the amendment has been lost. So therefore that takes us back to the substantive, which is 2. So can we have a vote on that, please? All those in favour say aye. Aye. So we've got 2 ayes. Okay. Yeah, and the noes for 2.
No.
So we got 4. So that's lost. So that means that really 3 is probably not needed. Is that my interpretation, staff? That's correct? That we do not need recommendation 3? You need it? We'll put it in. Okay. And the recommendation of staff, we'll carry on just holding 3 there. So all those in favour of recommendation 3? So, sorry, did you have a question?
Just a question of clarification now then. We've put the amendment away and we've lost the resolution as well. So I'm just a little bit lost as to the process that we are going to go forward. We obviously have now appointed a commissioner to decide whether these consents are going to be notified or not. But am I right in thinking that we've now got to wait for another paper to come back to decide on the process of how we're going to deal with these the Commissioner's decision?
Yes.
That, which seems to be quite a waste of time.
That does seem to be the decision. Yes, you can have a point of order. Okay. No, that he was seeking clarity around the process now that, from the decisions that we've actually made, and that is that there will be another paper come back following the Commissioner's decisions. Staff have recommended that we actually carry on. Chair Pauling?
Yeah, in terms of Resolution 3, I don't know if you can pass that because it doesn't make sense anymore because we didn't pass Resolutions 2 and 4. So can staff just consider whether that needs amendment to deal with Jane's appointment for the notification decision, but not the second part?
So I'm wondering if we just had the first sentence that we delegate Jane McDonald pursuant to Section 34 the functions, powers and duties required to deal with any preliminary matters. Would that be satisfactory? Okay, so you'd like to amend that, Chair Pauling, to...
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So we've got a seconder, Councillor Edge, for that. All those in favour say aye.
Happy to move that, yeah. Right.
We're going to 3 will be amended to read delegating the functions, powers and duties required to deal with any preliminary matters, because that would cover any questions that come back from a notification with regards to the notification and stuff.
Yes.
Hang on. We're just getting some more legal interpretation here.
We do still need consider and decide because she will be exercising that function. She needs a delegation.
So
Yeah.
Do you want to adjourn?
can we just adjourn for a couple of minutes while we get this wording correct to make it fit?
No, that puts us back to where we were. This is suggesting that the Commissioner is going to consider here decide in relation to the notification decision.
That is what we've already decided in 1.1, that this Commissioner is going to do that. We've given them the option.
Yeah, I agree. That's fine.
Thank you. Okay, so Chair Pauling and Councillor Edge, are you now happy, Councillor Edge, with what Chair Pauling agreeing?
We've already made that decision.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Rightio.
I agree.
So we'll put the amended 3 to the vote here. All those in favour say aye. Hang on, we've got some discussion. Sorry, we're just going to go step back. Councillor East had his hand up. I didn't see that.
Thank you. Look, I'm a little disappointed with the processes that we've gone through here today. I'm particularly sort of perturbed about the fact that we are appointing a commissioner who I am led to believe has considerable experience in these matters, and yet we seem to be wanting to influence the decision somehow or other, and by bringing in all these other bits. We need to trust these professionals in their role in making a decision, and the notification process has clearly sort of indicated to me that the matters that members around the table have raised would be considered in that process. So for me, I think it's a subversion of the expertise of some of these people that we are appointing, and we need to trust their judgment and the process they go through in making a decision. So I'm not particularly pleased with the direction this meeting's taken, and I will vote against the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Point taken. So we'll then put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Can we just drop it down a little bit so people can see it? Chair Pauling, did you want to discuss this before we took the vote?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to say that I think all we've done here is ask for a two-step process, which I think is reasonable. And obviously with the discussion that was raised around the significance and scale of these consents, that is worthy of further consideration once we understand the outcome of the notification decision. It's not about the hearing commissioner at all. It's just about the process for us to be clear. And if we had voted on two, it would have locked us into something that we're not sure of the outcome yet. So, yeah, I just think, yeah, we've had our say. We've been able to vote the way we have. So, thank you.
Okay, this time we're going to the vote on 3 as Chair Pauling, another recommendation has to be changed as amendment to include, be specific and clear around recommendations standing in their own. So you will see a change coming up. Hopefully you're stopped. Read your phone.
Yeah, no, I'm standing now. It's all good outside. Yeah.
We just need to add that it applies to any such consent review and resource consent application. Or perhaps it should be the, should it? Be the. Oh. Okay. It's okay as it is? Yep.
I can't actually see it clear, so can someone either bring it up on the screen or it might just be my phone? I'll read it out.
It's. Can you highlight it on the screen? Can you just make it red? We've just added in the bottom after the notification decision, any such consent review and resource consent application, because this is notification decision that we've given to Jane McDonald regards 2 consent reviews and 2 resource consent applications. Can you see it now, Chair?
No, sorry, I can't. I don't know if it's my phone or not, so I can't see anything.
Okay, well, it's definitely up on our screen.
Could you just read it out? Clear the whole thing?
So the whole lot says, delegates to Jane McDonald pursuant to 34A1 of the RMA the function, powers and duties required to consider, hear and decide any preliminary matters in relation to the notification decision. For the avoidance of doubt, including making the notification decision it's missing a 2 by the look, or about any such consent review and resource consent application. It looks like we're missing a word. For any such consent review. So we've just added on the, for any such consent review and resource consent application on the bottom.
Yep, happy with that.
Okay, Councillor Edge.
Yeah, just for clarification, and that bottom line has been put in because there are 4 potentially separate cases being heard. Yep. I'm okay with that.
Okay, right. Now we have an amendment. I'm going to put this to the vote. We've had some discussion. Legal staff are happy with that. Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we've got 1 no.
Who was no, sorry?
Councillor East, would you like that noted? Yes. Okay. So that is that was Councillor Pauling. Councillor Pauling, Chair Pauling was original to the amendment, and Councillor Edge. Okay. We've got it there to be carried anyway. Yep. Okay. We've done that one now. So that takes us to the Regulation Hearing Committee Resolution Status Report. That's on page 17 to 20 of your agenda.
Chair, I have to leave, so apologies for leaving early. Sorry.
Thank you very much. We'll note that. So we have this report here. Does anybody have any questions of it? It's pretty clear. They're all green.
I'll
So
move it.
just be surprised.
Second.
So we've got a mover, Councillor Swiggs, and seconded by Councillor Edge. Any discussion? If there isn't any discussion, we'll move on with the vote. All those in favour say aye. Against? So that's carried. Then we have the resource, go to 9.2, which is the resource consent hearing status report with recommendations showing up there. Does anybody have any questions of clarification from staff regarding those? I think we've got some pretty good detail in the columns there, in the completion information that we're now getting, which is very helpful. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions around this one? Okay, we've got a mover, Councillor Davies. We have a seconder, Councillor East. Any discussion? If there isn't, we'll put those to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Against? So it's carried. Thank you very much. Right, that takes us on to the next meeting. Will be advised, and I'm sensing it might be next week. So that will be firmed up. And then we will leave the Karakia, closing Karakia open for the rest of the day, if that's okay. I would just like to note Councillor Robinson did send an email in, which obviously didn't come, but she was an apology from 8:30. So can we just note that, please? Okay. Right, so thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, staff.